Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name, and welcome to another sort of Convallaria video. Today, I am going to be showing you how to power up your characters. Basically, what are the different systems to make your characters stronger in order to, push more content. Now, I'm not going to go in super deep to most of these systems, as some of them are pretty in-depth, such as the gearing system, but let's at least take a little bit of a look at all of these and kind of give you an idea. So the very first thing, before we even come into the character screen, the most important thing, it's not the most important thing, I exaggerate, but something I don't want you to forget about. If you come to your home page here, one of the easiest ways, if you go home, is you come down here to the talents. All right, this is the first way to make your character stronger. So you will unlock this, I don't remember what level, not too late into the game. And then at level 25, you basically unlock your second, and then I'm not far enough to know when you unlock it after that. But I'm going to use Guzman as an example here. And so I'm going to be going down the Destroyer's path. First thing I want to do, if I'm noticing he's not as strong as he needs to be to clear content, I'm going to come to the Destroyer's path. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start leveling these things. So you can see here, this is like a meta way to get more power, not on your units, but on your protagonist. And this is a way to make it so you could use more skills. But if you come down here, you can actually see you just get flat attack, physical and magical on all these units, flat defense, physical and magical on all these units, percent-based HP, straight max HP, and then additional stats and stuff in here. So this is not the biggest way, but it is something that you want to make sure that you are keeping up on, as if you just completely ignore it, then it's probably going to come back to bite you. Is my camera really dark right now? All right. I don't know why my camera was so dark, but I fixed it. You could also click the roll bonus down here, and you can use that to see everything you've gotten so far, which is pretty nifty. Now, how do you actually get these things? This is going to be, as most things in the game, you're going to go to Voyage, and then you're going to come to the Crossing Worlds. This is going to be gotten from the Star Trials. So you do want to make sure you're getting these. I'm going to make a video about this right here, but that's not important today. So, but right now, you're basically going to find the one that you want to level up. So, for example, I'm looking for Destroyer. I know that's purple. I like purple. That's how I do it. So we click here. And then, actually, I don't even think that it's purple, right? But it's just like, there's a bunch of different currencies here, right? So you just go through, you rank these up, and then you will be set, at least for that one. Now, with that aside, let's actually get to the character screen. That's a little bit of an outside of the character itself mechanic. That's going to apply to all characters of that class, but it is, again, one of the first things you should be making sure you're keeping up on. Now, let's actually take a look at our main boy here. So, the second thing that is also probably the least important, but I don't want you to overlook it, as it is important still, is the bond. It's right here underneath my camera. You can see it right here. You can also see it on this screen. You can also see it on the main screen as well. But you go to a character, you want to increase their bond. Now, this is not a instant overnight thing. It does take a while to do it. You can get currency. You get some of this stuff every single day. And it's going to take a while. However, this does give you a flat 5% on all your stats. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but 5%, the later you get into the game, you would kill for a 5% bonus on all of your stats. That's huge. So that is very big on your favorite characters. You definitely want to make sure you're focusing on bond. It's something that you're going to have to whale if you want to get past the time gate of it, but don't really worry about that. Just make sure you're utilizing these resources, because it is a lot. So, all right, now we got that out of the way. Let's actually look at the best ways to level up your characters. So we'll start with now kind of the easy stuff first. All right, obviously level, right? First, the level of your character is locked behind the level of your account. So you will notice like this, the level cap for your units are going to keep going up based on your account level. So, and you don't really gain experience from battle. I think you might literally, I actually can't even tell that's how little it would be if you did, but you might just gain 0. So every time your account gains a couple levels, come back here, make sure you're getting some boost. So we're at 425 power right now, if we're looking at like the overall estimated combat power, and now 444 just from that. And that was almost no resources at all. Next, you want to make sure you are checking your rank every 5 levels. This is going to get harder and harder to do, but as you can see here, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, all the way up to level 60, which is the level cap. So we are going to just make sure you're coming back every 5 levels and doing these, as these are pretty big. So every 5 levels, you get a big boost of stats, right? You just get a bunch of stats. And then the other 5 levels, you know, so ranks, the ones that end in 5, right? The ones that end in 5, yeah, so 25, 35, doesn't even tell me what level it's required. Yeah, 25, 35, 45, 55 on your ultra rare units are going to give you new skills. So extra big. So on top of getting just a bunch of stats, you are also getting full brand new, just like passives, which are passives, attacks, reactions, upgrading your basic attack. These are huge in addition. So come here every 5 levels. Make sure you are upgrading this. Now you are going to have to be a little more precise with how you spend this, as it is going to get harder to push the further you get into the game. To just like, if you have 20 characters you're trying to level up, it's going to be harder and harder to maintain all these characters without just grinding a bunch of currency. So pick between like 5 in the early game, and then as you go to the late game, try to get up to like 12, because that's where kind of the content is going to require 2 teams of 6 from my understanding. So start on lower levels just to clear missions, and then kind of start expanding it, getting closer to 12, so you're actually ready to push harder content. And then you do want to be careful, because when you pick one of these, it does cost a rare currency to replace it. But don't get, like, so many people get like stun locked here. I don't think you need to get stun locked here. Like, you can read and intuit which thing is better, and even if it's something that's not technically better, it could still be good for the way you're going to use the unit. You could use an off meta build version of the unit, right? But I'm taking survival instinct. I don't even know. I don't have a guide for this character, but you know what? I like this one. I thought this one would be better. I think the counterattack is probably not very good. So we got the level, we got the rank. Let's take a look at the star ranking. So this is a pretty important system, but it's also one you're not going to interact with very much. So this is basically how many dupes do you have? You get shards, you could farm them, or you can pull dupes. Those are the 2 ways to get shards. There might be some special stuff in events like generic and using everything shards. I don't know if they're going to add stuff like that, but right now, you pull dupes or you farm the shards. And what this is going to do, it's going to increase the passive levels. Now, 1 to 2 star is usually not a big deal, but 3 star is usually a pretty big deal, where this will be like a little bit of a number increase. And then usually when you get to 3 stars and then 5 stars, it's not the same for all characters. It kind of can change for some, but the typical route is 3 stars and 5 stars are the bigger, more impactful benefits, such as when he gets defeated, he gets into a corpse, but he has 0 defense, right? He has literally 0 defense as the corpse. Whereas you get to level 3, he gets to keep 80, you know, he loses 80% of his defense, so he still has some. So that's a difference between 100% lost defense and 80% is pretty big. And then at level 5, it goes down to 50%. And the levels in between here are actually pretty similar. It just like, it's going from 5% to 7% and from 10% to 15%. These are still significant, but level 3s and level 5s are the big ones. And at level 5, you also get an ascended skin, which is pretty cool, all things considered. So where do you actually get these? Like I said, you could do it from the memory retrieval, and you could pull dupes. Pull dupes is the whale way. The memory retrieval is the free-to-play. It's the everyone way. Even whales are going to do this. So you're going to unlock the memory retrieval after a little bit here. Now, this has some important notes about it. You obviously want to do the highest level you can. This is going to be how many shards you get. But what's very important here is that these shards are split evenly between the characters that you bring. So if you're doing this one and you want to get the maximum shards, you actually want to bring 2 characters. You could do 3 or whatever, you know, and just get less shards for more people. But the most you can get per day, let's take a look if it says over here. For each deployed character, up to 3 memory shards can be collected. So you can't obtain more than 3 memory shards while doing this. So if you bring 2 characters with this one character is guaranteed to get 3, 1 character is guaranteed to get 2. And so you need 300 to max out a character from 0 up to 5 stars, which is 100 days. However, like I said, you get a big power spike at 3, and that's a roughly 27 days instead. Between 0 and 3 versus 3 to 5 is like another 50, 60 days, something like that. So And so when you get to the later stages here, you're going to be able to get 9, which means you're going to be able to bring 3 characters, and each of them is going to be able to get their maximum of 3 shards. So try to use lower amounts of units if you can. And then as you get later, you want to as quickly as you can, get to the higher stage and then start getting that 9 per day, because that's pretty darn good. Or just spend a bunch of money, pull a bunch of units. So the last thing we're going to look at here to increase the strength of your character is going to be the equipment here. So we're not going to go super deep into this equipment system, but I do want to take a peek at it at least really quick. So basically you click in here, you could see you can equip, you'll be able to see all your equipable weapons and whether they're locked or not, right? So just kind of equip what you can. You could start looking for gear that has effects, but like a lot of my characters, like I'm still early, I don't have a lot of options. However, with swords, I have a bunch of swords. So like, oh, maybe I want to be using swords, but Guzman can't use swords, and we're using him as an example here. So you find a weapon that you want to equip, it increases his max HP, which I actually think is really good. So obviously you can equip it, but it's you still want to be stronger than that. You can also enhance your gear. You can spend resources to level it up. These can be farmed from, actually, I don't even know where to farm this one. I just haven't had to yet. I'd be careful about leveling up these silver weapons. Don't get too crazy, because you're going to get better weapons eventually. And these have they might have like decent effects, but they're also going to have lower base stats. And you don't want to invest a crazy amount of resources into this stuff. And then if you want to level up the star, which will increase not the stats of the weapon per se, it does increase the stats. I don't mean it like that, but it's like the main thing you're getting usually is the increased secondary effect, because usually you're using a weapon for a secondary effect. Although the stat stick is of course really good. And so what you do is you get duplicates of a weapon. You smash them together, as all good blacksmiths do. You just get 2 duplicates and you end up making 1. And then you get some stats, blah, 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 blah. And now we have 4% HP instead of 3%. So that's pretty good. Now, the same system works here as well for the armor. You just kind of find the one that you think is going to be the best. Now, I'm using the legendary one because, again, it goes further into that HP percent, which I think is really good on him. I'm going to equip that. And then the final one is it's a tarot card, this is a weird, not a weird system. It's powerful and it's like cool and interesting, but it is going to be, this is the min-max gear slot, where in other games you might be used to having relic slots where all of your gear can roll different stats. That's what this one does. So, but it's only this one equipment slot. You have standard gear that doesn't have randomized effects, but then you have the randomized effect. You'll have like the destruction of the tower. This part is stationary. This never changes. I mean, it'll go up as you like level it up. These stats will go up. But what I mean is the skill is always going to be, when it's not the character's turn, damage dealt is increased by 20%, and these stats are going to not be randomized rolls. However, the details over here, these are basically going to be randomly rolled as you level up. So at level 15, you're going to get this at 20, 35, 50. So it's a lot of resources, and you're going to be rolling to get these. But they are very, very powerful. But this is more of a late game thing. You don't want to spend too many resources on that early. But really quick, in order to get like weapons, you can come down here, and like we do a lot of things, you go to Voyage. I wouldn't recommend spending a lot of energy on this early. However, if you're finding that you're not having any weapons and you're having trouble progressing, you go to the weapon trials here. The weapon trial, you will unlock this somewhere in stage 3, I think 217, something like that. And these are going to give you boss fights, but you could take a look here at the weapons that can drop. Now, keep in mind, in the early stages, you're not going to be getting any of these. You are going to be randomly getting some of these gold ones, and then you can farm the silver ones depending on the level, and eventually you'll get better ones. But like right here, I have a mostly bronze equipment, a chance to get rare. Then you come here, right? You're more likely to get rare, but common is going to be, common. And then you come over here. Now, the first time you're going to get gold gear, and you probably have a good chance to farm gold gear here. And then, as you can see, you're going to basically start more and more getting the higher level gear. So that's how you actually farm getting new gear. And then for the tarot cards, I'm actually kind of interested if I look here really quick. So you can also look at trinkets, which is the armor. These can also drop as well. So you could essentially target farm what are you looking for. If you're looking for gold armor, yeah, the gold pool is kind of big, but you can look, it's like, all right, I really want this. Damage taken decreases by 5% when healthy. This is so good because my character is way stronger. They have a special effect when they're above 70% HP. So I want that on so they stay there longer. So you can kind of target farm that, pick the ones you want. You could easily go through and choose what you want. But again, don't get too crazy with it. And then finally, the tarot farming is going to be, I actually believe it's right here. This is where you're going to farm new tarot cards. It's obviously, I haven't even unlocked it yet, but it is something that is going to be important. But the later you get into the game, don't spend a lot of resources on this until you're much later. Like, you would rather be leveling up your characters, like this is kind of an order. This is almost a priority list at the end here. Don't worry about the tarot cards. You would much rather work on your armor, your weapons, your level, your rank. Make sure you're farming your star levels. I would even probably work on your talent points. And then after you're all that, just get some like cheap tarot cards, toss them on, something that's kind of good. And then when you're trying to min-max your character for super challenging content, that's when you really got to focus on that stuff. So when all that's said and done, right, we were at, what, 400 and something, and now we're at 600, right? We have almost a 50% boost just by going through and do a couple mechanics here and just making sure we have our stuff equipped. You know, we have things that are semi-focused on what our character wants to do. And then we have, you know, we made sure we ranked up, we made sure we leveled up, we made sure our stars are being farmed. I already did that today. Yeah, and that's basically how you rank up a character. There is a lot of systems going on, but it's really not that bad when you get used to it. It could just feel like a lot goes into every character, right? Because that was all just for Guzman. And now let's say I want to level up Beryl, right? I can level her up, rank her up. I got to get her a tarot card. And so, like, you could just building characters could take a really long time, which is a lot of fun, especially when there's a skill tree essentially in the rank system where you get to choose which one you want. You'll have a totally different Beryl than someone else's, even though they can be identical with additional resources. Most people are going to have a slightly unique twist on a character, which is really cool. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions. Much love. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you in the flip-flops. Bye! Platypus on the rise, watch the views go.